Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Peyote Bracelet kits. Now, these are our exclusive Beadaholique kits, and in this video I'm going to be featuring 3 different patterns. We have our snowflake pattern, and we have 2 different color variations. We have our leaves pattern, again, 2 different color variations, and then we have our Christmas tree. And what you're going to see in this video is I'm going to make that second color variation for you, and I'll show you all 6 at the very end so you can choose your favorite. So when you purchase a kit from Beadaholique, what you're going to receive is you're going to receive the appropriate beads for your pattern, a clasp, you'll also receive your needles and thread, but what you won't receive that you'll need to complete this project is a pair of scissors, or if you prefer, a thread zapper, just something to cut off your thread. So I'm going to go ahead and get my table set up, and then I'll be right back to show you how to start this kit. So I have my beads all set up and ready to go. And again, in this video, I'm going to be doing the Christmas trees on red pattern. And I have that pattern right here to show you. So this is what it'll look like when you receive it. And just to give you an overview, you'll get your dark green beads, which are the border here. You'll get your red beads, obviously the background. And then you'll have your green beads, but what you'll also receive is you'll receive a packet of a bead mix, and in this mix will be the colors for the trunk of the tree, the ornaments, and the star on top. So you'll have a gold, an orange, a brown, a blue, and a purple. So this will be your bead mix, and we've given you more than enough to complete this pattern, and you'll actually have a few beads left over as well, which is good. So I'm going to show you how to start peyote. I have a length of thread on my needle here that I've already just placed. And just to let you know, I will show you later on in this video how to tie off and add more thread. So just use a length of thread that you're comfortable working with. So to begin though, I'm going to pick up one of our brown beads. And this isn't actually going to be a bead that I'm going to use in the pattern. I'm just going to use it as a stopper bead. So you just pick that up on your needle, and you slide it down. And you'll want to leave a good length on this end because you'll want to be adding length at the very end. So go ahead and pick up your stopper bead, and it's on my thread there. And now I'm just going to take my needle and go back through. And what I'm going to do is just sort of trap that on my thread, just like so. So that will hold my beads in place as I pick up my first couple of rows. Now, if you've never read a peyote pattern before, I'm going to show you quickly how to read it. So we do have an arrow here that says start here, and we have A, and you'll work down this way, and then you'll continue here and work down this way, ending over here. But to begin, what you're going to initially pick up with your needle and thread is you're going to pick up the first 2 rows. Now, I have a little guide here to help show me. So the first row is actually this row of beads. And the second row is that second row right there. So as you can see, what I'm going to be picking up, and I'll try to point to it with my needle, is I'm going to pick up a green, a green, a green, a green, a green. So 5 greens, and then red, 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 red. So I'm going to pick up both of these, and then again with the green. So I'm going to count that out here for you. So moving over here, let's see. Okay, I have 5 of the green, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of the red, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the green. So 5 green, 18 red, and 5 more green. So now I'm going to pick up 5 green beads. 5, go ahead and slide that down, and 18 of the red. And 5 more green. Now go ahead and slide those all the way down until you hit your stopper bead. And I'm just going to double check that I have the right amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I am all set to go. So now you can take it in your hand and you can see that I have my brown stopper bead at this end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and pick up that third row. So let me show you really quick on the pattern. We picked up our first row and our second row, and now we're coming back around and we're going to pick up that third row. Now in this case, for this pattern, you can just follow along because what you're going to pick up is 3 green beads, and then you're going to pick up your red beads in between, and then 2 more green beads. So this pattern is a little bit easier to start and follow, and I'll show you what that starts to look like. So I'm going to pick up a green bead first, and I'm not going to go into that first bead. I'm going to skip that first bead and go into that second bead right there. And pull my needle down. And what's going to happen is that hopefully won't flip over like that. He's going to come and sit right next to him. And you might need to finagle him just a little bit. There we go. So now you can see that it started that sort of brick pattern. And you just want to make sure that he sits right there. So now I'm going to pick up another green. And again, I'm going to skip a bead and I'm going to go into that next bead right there. And I'm going to pull that down. Just like so. So again, I'm going to pick up another green bead. I'm going to skip that last green bead right there, and I'm going to go into that first red bead. And pull down. Okay, so you're just going to continue, and now I'm going to start picking up red beads. Pick up a red bead, skip the next red bead, and go into that second one right there, just like so, and pull down. Again, pick up another red bead, skip one, go into the next red bead there, pick up one more, skip a bead, go into the next one, and you're going to continue for this first row. And this is the hardest part of the whole thing. So just getting the starter row ready for yourself. And you can see it starts to take on that brick pattern. Okay, so this is the last red bead I'm going to pick up. I'm going to go into that first green bead. And now I'm coming out of a green bead. So I'm going to pick up a green bead. All right, and now adding that last bead to that third row right there. So this is what I have so far. So you can just follow along. So I have my tail coming out here with my brown stopper bead. I wove 3 rows, and now I have my thread coming out of this side. So moving over to my pattern here, just to show you where we're at, I did the first 3 rows, which is that first row, that second row, and that third row. And now my thread's coming out the side. So what I'm going to do is just move my little card down. And now I'm going to go to pick up the 4th row, and what you'll notice is that we have a light green bead there as well. So again, I'm going to pick up 3 of the green, 1 red, 1 light green, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the red beads, and then 2 more of the green beads. So what you can do if you want to help yourself out just to get started, so I'm going to kind of lay them out in front of me. So I have 3 green beads, 1 red bead, 1 light green bead, 7 red beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 more of the green beads. So this is my next row. So you're going to see me work this through. So go ahead and take your needle. And again, I'm just holding it in my fingers. So now it's a little bit easier to see because you'll just be going through the next row there. And you want to keep fairly good tension on your thread. And again, I'll pick up that 1 red bead. And now I'm going to pick up that light green bead. And that's the start of my first tree. And you just keep working in this manner. Now you don't have to set up your row every time, but it can help, just so that when you get to your weaving, you're a little bit faster. All right, and last bead in this row. And you can see now I'm coming out of this side. Let me just lay it down again one more time. And now I'm just gonna go again and do another row, going all the way back. And you'll notice that in this next row on my pattern, I have my green beads, my red beads, and then my green beads again. So I'm gonna do this last row here. And this I can do a little bit faster because you can just sort of follow along with the pattern. And this is all even count peyote is. It's really nice, very zen. Just follow along with your pattern. So I'm going to finish this row, and then I'm going to be back to show you a technique to finish off and tie in new thread, because you're going to need to be doing that as you work. So I'll be back in just a moment to show you how to do that. So now I've come to a point in my bead weaving where I need to add some new thread because I still have a little bit of ways to go. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you leave yourself a good 6 to 8 inches of thread before you tie it off. You don't want to get to a point where you can't turn your needle around. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick this up in my hand. Everybody has a different way that they like to do this, so if you have a preferred method, please do so. But I like to stop in the middle of a row that I'm weaving and just take my needle, and I'm gonna go underneath one of my beads right there so I can catch that thread path right in there. So I'm gonna go underneath there, and before pulling it through, I'm gonna put my needle through the loop and just bring down a nice little knot. And now, without adding another bead, I'm going to go through the next down bead right here and through that next up bead. And again, I'm going to take my needle around through, catching that thread path. And I'm just going to make a little knot. I'm going to go down through the next down bead. And now what I like to do is just sort of secure my thread. So I'm coming out of this red bead, you can see right here. I'm going to go into the red bead that's below it, going the opposite direction, just like so. And when I pull the thread through, you'll see it kind of not get caught, but sort of disappear underneath those beads. So now I'm going to go into the red bead that's just below it. And I'm going to kind of do a little turnaround here, going into the bead above there. Watch that thread disappear and just go back down. And what I'm doing now is I'm going through that bead, but I'm letting my needle come out on the back side so that I have my tail. So now I'm just going to take my needle off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors or my thread zap. Now, if you haven't used a thread zap before, I'm just going to show you real quick how to use it. This is a great little handy tool. So what's going to happen is I'm going to press up on this and the tip's going to come out. And while my finger's pressed up here, you'll see that it's going to get a little bit orange because it's getting very hot. And you'll just go in and you'll zap off your thread. And then you can just take your little tail and throw that away. So now I'm going to flip it back over. And I'm going to add in thread and continue my thread path. So let me just take my fire line here. And I'm just going to quickly get another length. And again, you can go ahead and zap it off here. I always put my little safety back on here and it just helps it because it won't light up then. It's very nice. So set that aside. Going to thread my needle. So now I have a new length of thread onto my needle. And what I need to do is I need to get my needle going back through to come out exactly where I was before. So you just sort of choose a spot. And I'm going to go in right here. And just sort of take that and take my thread all the way through, leaving a little bit of a tail. And now again, I like to sort of just do that little loop. Now you'll notice I haven't made a knot yet. So I'm just going through the bead that's below it and back up through the bead that's that I initially put my thread through. Now again, if you have another method, please use it. This is just how I like to do it. So I'm going to go through the bead, and what I'm doing is I'm just working along the thread path to get my thread up towards the top. And you can see that now I'm coming out of this bead right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and again just go down through the bottom. And before I can make that complete, I'm going to take my needle, go through that loop, and just create a nice little knot. And again, going through that thread path. And down one more. And just for a little extra security, I'm just going to make another little knot. And if I go through this up bead and this down bead right here, I am back on my thread path to continue adding more beads. So you just continue on with your pattern and you're ready to keep weaving. So you might need to do this a couple of times as you weave through your bracelet. And then to just get that tail off, again, just go ahead and take your little threads out, light it up, and zap it off. And you're all set to go. It's like it never happened. I'm going to be back in just a moment to show you how to finish off this bracelet and attach the clasp. So when you've reached the end of the pattern, what you're going to do to add length on either side is do rows of the red and the green, and you're just going to continue that pattern out equally on both sides for as long as you need to. So it's very simple, and this is not included in the pattern because we wanted to let you individualize the size that you're going to need, but you just follow along with the border pattern. And again, just make sure to add equally on both sides. And this is why I do suggest that when you're starting this pattern, leave a good tail for yourself so that you don't have to weave in more thread at the beginning of your bracelet. So you just go ahead and just keep on weaving. And I'm going to add a little bit of length to each side here. And then I will show you how easy it is to attach that clasp. So just keep weaving and we'll be right back. So now we are ready to attach the clasp, and I just want to give you a few tips before I continue. So if you've bought the other patterns, I'm just going to show them here for you. Now again, we have 2 color variations of the leaves and 2 color variations of our snowflakes here. And just to point out on one for you, we've given you enough of a pattern for these 2 that you'll actually get a 7-inch weave if you weave the entire pattern. But this is a little bit more of an abstract pattern, so you can actually end it wherever you like. So if you end up going only to here because you've reached your desired length, you can just stop there and I'll show you how to attach the clasp. It'll be the exact same, so you don't have to do the entire pattern. I do have an example here of a finished clasp. This is the other color variation, just sort of the inverse of the red and the green. And it's a tube clasp, so I just want to show you really quick that when you put it together and on your wrist, it just slides easy together like that. But I want to let you know that this gap area right here, that is about a 1/2 inch. So as you're figuring out how long you want to weave, make sure you leave a 1/2 inch for your clasp, okay? So there's that portion. With this particular pattern, I have woven extra of the red and green border on each side. I didn't want to make it too much longer, but that's the desired length. The other thing that you have to remember is that you see my threads, they're coming out of opposite sides here. You'll have to do that so that the clasp sits the right way. And each side will be the same for the clasp. So what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm just going to take apart my clasp and just sort of set that there. And I know that I have to turn it around. So this is how it's going to look. Now with each pattern that you get, go ahead and use the main color as the beads that we're going to attach the clasp to. For example, in this one, I'm going to use the red beads. So let me just clear my workspace a little bit. So again, you have your thread coming out here. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle and go back down through that second bead that's right below. And what you're going to do is just follow along that thread path. I'm going to go up to that next green bead. And you're trying to get to the third up bead. So if this is number 1, this is number 2, and this is number 3. So I'm getting to that first red bead there. So I'm just weaving through the top row there. And if you can weave through 2 beads at a time. Sometimes it's a little more tricky. And so now I'm going to come up through that red bead right there. So now pick up 4 red beads on your needle, and you can go ahead and slide those all the way down. Go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and go into the first loop of the clasp, coming around to the back and making sure that it stays flipped the right way. Those beads are small enough that they'll go right through that loop. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and come through that second red up bead right there. And what this is going to do, you'll see in a moment, is just going to create a nice little loop for that clasp to sit in. And you just want to pull tight, and then you have that little bridge right there. Okay? So now you're going to continue to weave along the thread path, going down through the next red bead adjacent to the one you just went into. And just make sure your thread doesn't get tangled up in there. And you're going to come up through the next red up bead. And again, you're going to pick up 4 red beads and slide those down. And you can go through the loop, and I'll do it all in one pass through the next red up bead right there. And you just keep going. So you go down through the down bead, up through the up bead, add on 4 red beads, 3 and 4, go down through the next loop and into that up bead that's next to it. Making sure to not get your thread tangled. 4 more red beads, go through the loop, down through. And you'll want to keep all of your loops going the same way, so make sure that no matter which direction you choose, if you want to go from the back, you just keep that consistent throughout your clasp. Okay, and again, this is going to be the exact same on the other side. So now we're going to go through that green bead because it's just the next up bead that's right there. And go through. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread and go through the next down bead and go through the next up bead, which is that green one right there. And again, we're just going to use that same technique I had taught you earlier of going through the back, coming up, and creating just a little knot. And then I'm just going to weave down to tie off my thread. Now, if you feel that this isn't secure enough, although I feel that it's good enough for me, you can always trace your thread path and go all the way back through if you like, but it's definitely not necessary. So now all I'm doing is just sort of weaving along the thread path so I can curly cue my thread and tie it off. Again, just take your little thread zap and zap off that tail. So just repeat this process with the other side of the clasp and you are all finished. So I just want to show you really quickly here all of our different beautiful patterns. And no matter which pattern you choose, I know you'll be very happy with the result. They have beautiful shimmer to them and they're really easy to follow. So there you are. Those are our exclusive Beadaholique kits. You'll get everything you need in our package to complete them. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you should have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. You can find all of these supplies and more at beadaholique.com.